for June 20th, 2024. If everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our agenda this evening, as it was posted on the town website and the town board, is as follows. Number one, Park East Ventures, amended to site plan. Applicant seeks to amend a previously approved site plan application to expand an existing building and construct a staging area on property located at 1173 Hoosick Road at the intersection of Brick Church Road. Park East Ventures Incorporated is the applicant. Number two, Brunswick Acres, major subdivision. Applicant proposes a major subdivision with regard to the Brunswick Acres Planned Development District on approximately 44 acres of land located along the north side of Brunswick Road, New York State Route 2, just west of Heather Ridge Road. Brunswick Road Development LLC is the applicant. Golden Grain Pizza is number three with amendment to a site plan. Applicant seeks to amend the previously approved site plan application to build a sidewalk along the west side of Oneida Avenue. Zephyr Zach is the applicant. Number four, Paramount Building Group, major subdivision. Applicant proposes a major subdivision on approximately 33 acre parcel of land, as well as construction of a new road with a cul-de-sac and a water line extension on property located on the northeast corner of Spring Avenue and Crick Road. Paramount Building Group of New York is the applicant. Number five, Florio, amendment to special use permit. Applicant seeks to amend a previously approved special use permit in order to allow for the on-site pickup of purchased firearms on property located at 502 Pinewoods Avenue. Zachary Florio is the applicant, and we will also review new applications received following the June 6th meeting. I am going to change the order on the agenda. I'm going to move Florio to number one. And so our business meeting will start with the approval of the minutes of June 6th. And I do have some corrections on that. Apparently, Travis's name was misspelled on the minutes. And Travis Rosencrantz, it is spelled, Rosencrantz is spelled Rosencranse. And that is referred to in the public hearing, pages 1 through 3, and also in the meeting minutes on pages 4 through 6. Other than that, is there any other corrections or additions that have to be made? The hearing none, I will make a motion to accept the minutes as they have been amended. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Like I said on the, just a minute ago, I'm going to move number 5, Florio, amendment to special use permit up to number 1. And this is because we were seeking a decision or opinion on a zoning definition of a retail store in your, I believe it's R25, R40.
R40.
R40
Yes.
is not allowed. We did not get an adequate response on that, then we can make a decision on the amendment. So we're going to have to postpone, until maybe, I'm hoping our next meeting, which is scheduled for the 18th of July.
Correct.
And at that point, hopefully the building department will make a decision as to whether a retail establishment is permitted in an R40 zone, as by definition of a retail.
Right, okay. The specific issue being, is the proposed amendment consistent with the Brunswick zoning law?
Correct, okay. So, unless you have something you want to add, I think we're done.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Are you available on July?
I'll make myself available, yep,
Okay, thank you.
yep, thank you.
We now moving to the top of the original agenda, we have Park East Ventures. And as you're setting up, Travis, we did receive the responses to the public hearing. And there weren't that many, but I would like you to review those if you could.
Sure. Again, for the record, Travis Rosencrantz from Creek, Maine, here as the applicant's engineer for Park East Improvement Site Plan Amendment. Based upon discussion at the public hearing dated June 6th, there were several comments raised by the public, and those are summarized in a document provided to the members of the board, and then unfortunately a little bit late to the TE. I guess I'll just go down. We have well, unfortunately, there's a duplicate in there, but there's 5 comments from 2 separate neighboring parcels. 2 were from Mr. Mann. One was regarding potential fill that was spilling over onto his property from the project parcel. I'll give a summary of what happened after that. We discussed with Mr. Mann immediately after the public hearing, and Scott Watson went out the following morning and met with Mr. Mann on site and deemed that there was no fill on that property. They both agreed to that, and that response is noted in the documented response. The second comment that is our understanding had to do with lighting. Mr. Mann requested that any lighting be not skyward bound and not spill over onto his property. And we just really summarized what was presented in the plans as far as downward facing with minimal foot panel at the parcel.
Okay.
The next 3 are comments that were provided by Mr. Bauer, who's the residence that is immediately southwest of the parcel. They were primarily regarding surface contamination to his well, surface runoff, and then also impacts to the supply of his well. So each one of those were addressed separately. Would you like me to go through those, or?
Yes, for sure, if you would, yeah.
Yeah, so at the time of the initial site plan application, there was some discrepancy noted on the plan. The site was originally noted as a gravel equipment staging area. So as the site design progressed and the applicant either confirmed what their needs were, it was deemed that that was no longer to be an actual equipment staging area. That's only for a construction material area. Leftover jersey barriers, cones, anything left over that needs to be staged on site until it ends up on the construction site. So that is one important detail to note, because at the initial design, we progressed assuming that was a hotspot. A hotspot is anytime that there's potential for increased organics, petroleum contamination based upon the activity that is suspected to take place on the actual surface. So with that hotspot, there's specific requirements that are integrated into the design. 100% water quality pretreatment, some no infiltration. There's a lot of specifics that go into that to meet those requirements. So essentially those requirements were not extracted from the plan. They remain in the site plan. So it's kind of a belt and suspenders approach. So one, there will not be any equipment staged, stored in the gravel area. Two, it's still deemed a hotspot and we're not infiltrating and we have impermeable lines. So, I think that sufficiently addresses as far as the contamination and groundwater contamination, because we're, one, eliminating the source, two, providing treatment provided there is a contamination. So I think that was discussed a little bit at the hearing, but that's documented here in an inaccurately numbered comment as number 2 of number 2. So, one other comment, I'm not going in order here, had to do, was noted as a favorable response to the project, considering that it's eliminating stormwater runoff. Shouldn't say eliminating, reducing stormwater runoff that's conveyed directly to the neighbor's parcel. And that's primarily due to the design that we've induced to meet the 100% water quality treatment and redirect stormwater northward then into several treatment devices that are, give you some visual, that actually are directed northward and then lengthen for time of concentration into our stormwater treatment area. So runoff is significantly reduced. The last one has to do, I guess it would have to do with potential contamination, groundwater contamination of the well and supply of the well. Based upon the treatment that's being provided, and in several of the boring locations, there's a layer of bedrock and then also a tight clay layer that is above the well, the ground elevation of the well that currently exists. So based upon some extraction of that data and what we're currently designing, in summary, right now there's no change to provide public water. So that's the quick summary. Figure we'd have some open discussion, and I'm sure there'll be some questions regarding that.
I'm going to refer to Wayne at this point.
Or Ron.
I should note that Mr. Lurger here is Wayne has recused himself. I also have
Thank you, Travis.
Ron by way of Wayne. And these responses as an engineering, are they adequate?
Excuse me, I just received this today, believe it or not, but I didn't get to go through it, so I don't have a formal letter for you, but, so I generally, I agree with everything. As far as, the well, the boring information, the test pit information that was provided, from the previous plan, pretty shows a pretty dense clay layer, so even if everything failed in the storm water treatment, the odds of it penetrating down to the well is pretty minimal. Let's see what.
Do you know how deep Mr. Bower's wells are?
I don't have that information, but I do see Mr. Bauer in the audience. I know this isn't a public hearing, but
Well, the pickup's about 40 feet.
Pretty
You can
shallow.
see the water from
Pretty shallow.
pretty shallow.
But I don't, we do the distance, and we've got 220 feet on, 225 feet. I don't see.
Okay.
That's probably what you do.
All right. Yeah, that's probably good.
That's the other one. But I would just suggest that, if we're not gonna store equipment there, that we definitely need to.
Okay.
Just a suggestion.
Now, when you say not equipment, and materials only, Does this include, possibly like any generators or lighting, portable lighting or something like that? Or is that still equipment that has to be stored in the staging area?
I'm going to deflect. We have two of the applicant's representatives here. It's my understanding.
I think what I'm asking is there anything that you store over there that could be considered that may contaminate either by leaking, by?
All that rolling inventory would be down on an existing property.
Anything with a fuel tank or hydraulic line is pretty much what
Yeah,
you're asking.
okay.
The big issue we have is the supplies. The construction supplies, the trench boxes, the road tools,
Yeah, okay.
signs, all that.
Any questions from the board on the comments? Is the board satisfied with the comments? And satisfy the board as far as response?
Yeah.
Andy, moving forward here. Can we move forward and do a secret determination at this point? Do we need a secret?
Yes, you do need a secret determination. There was an environmental assessment form submitted, and I know Ron's prepared a proposed part 2 and 3. Maybe you could briefly review that with the board.
Okay.
So yes, I think last meeting was part of the package. Our June 6th letter, we prepared the draft of part 2. I don't know if you want to go through each of these individually, but while there were some possibilities that there could be an impact, they don't really exist. So small, it doesn't matter. They're negligible, I should say. So we didn't see any moderate or large impact on any of the topics covered by part 2. And we set this up for a regular declaration. We don't see really any significant environmental impacts. But I'm not sure, Mr. Chairman, if you want to go through it item by item, or.
Well, you went into the impact on the land.
Right.
That was checked off, yes,
That was
with
what
no
I
other
wanted.
impact.
Right.
We went to impact on geographic features, there's none.
Right.
Impacts on surface water.
There's no real water body affected.
Okay. And then you went to impacts on groundwater. And we already went through the comments as far as the analysis of the well and any contamination of the well. So it seems to me that is little or no impact.
Correct.
Okay. Impact on flooding, no. Is there any areas that have yes?
I think the only one I take yes was impact on plants and animals. I mean, it is disturbing sunlight. I don't want to call it natural. So there, but that would be very, very minor impact.
Okay.
You want to go to yes, the word.
Agriculture,
Energy, obviously, there's going to be energy to do as part of the project. That's number 14. But
okay.
again, that's the minutes.
And an impact on noise, odor, and light. And we went through that with the, if there's little or no impact. And that pretty much does it. There's no impact on human health.
No.
Consistent with this, okay. All right. So you're at this point that a negative declaration would be,
That's what I would recommend.
okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? Any parts of this, does anybody have any questions on that, or? Okay. Does the applicant have any questions? Then we could move forward and do a
Right. If
secret determination.
inclined, the motion would be accepting the proposed parts 2 and 3 and motion to adopt the secret negative declaration.
All right, would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, on the amendment to the site plan. Is there any conditions that have to be put on a proposal to approve this?
So just to address that, at my June 6th letter, I did make a recommendation that there be a few conditions in the approval. Really, to administer, one is we obviously need site plans. To make sure they have coverage for the stormwater permit. And third, related to the excess cut material that's identified on the plan, that, you know, for any reason, there's got to be a change to any of the significant aspects of the site. You know, change the drainage and that, they're going to have to come back and seek approval for those types of changes that included in the foils area they're showing to them.
Can I reference your letter as adopting the conditions stated in your letter of June 6th?
Right, we'll list those out in the minutes, and we'll repeat those 1 through 3. One other thing that Ron did mention earlier was either a note on the site plan or something indicating no vehicle storage in that staging area.
Okay,
Or no, actually, no equipment that relies on petroleum
okay.
or something like that. You have to come up with a word for it, but there's more than just vehicles and people.
Okay. Now, does the applicant have any questions on those conditions? Are they okay?
No, I think we're okay.
Okay.
Just recognizing that it's the new area that is what we're talking about,
Okay.
not the entire site.
All right.
What do we call it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What's it noted on the site plan?
Yeah, just,
Staging area, gravel staging area?
The new proposed gravel staging area?
that was my intent.
Okay. Duly noted.
And we will note for the record, public hearing was held, public comments have been addressed, the county recommendation has been received, seeker's been complied with, so it's properly in front of the board for consideration of action on the proposed amended site plan.
Okay. And I will entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the site plan.
Subject to the reviewed conditions.
Subject to the conditions of the.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll say.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're all set.
Well, so our next step, we'll just send in final stamp plans and then we'll work with the town to get that MS4 because that's one of the conditions is to have the NOI signed off on, so it's kind of a chicken before the egg there, but we'll get final stamp plans and then.
Yep. And then the building department.
Sure.
We'll take care of that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, this is yours. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a nice one.
Okay, next on our agenda is the Brunswick Acres major subdivision. And I believe, Ron, you're the plant engineer on here also. Okay. Can I sit here?
No, I really don't.
Hey, Dr. Anthony Casal, owner. Brunswick Acres, we got 44 acres with a PDD approved for 26 lots. In our previous meetings, we cut it down to 24 lots due to grading purposes, to keep all the fill on site. We were previously given conditional approval August 2022 to start work, but things got busy and we never got a chance to start. So coming back in to get it reapproved, so we could get moving on it. 24 lots, public water, then tie in Heather Ridge Road, loop with the Riccardi, and they'll all be on septic systems. With our previous design, it showed conventional septics, but in talks recently with the health department, all the septics that we couldn't get signed off on because of the grading, they suggested we switch those to fill systems, which CT Mel is going to make that change. We haven't made it yet. Pretty much about it.
Okay, but besides that change, there's no changes to anything that he approved before.
Nope, no, that's going to be the only change, and that's just on the county's recommendation.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to review all the prior?
I'm familiar with it, but I didn't go through everything yet at this point. I think there was one item brought up at the last meeting of the wetland regulations that changed, so checked into that a little bit. So the first change takes place in January 125. That is what they call small wetlands of unusual importance. And there's 11 criteria, you only have to use one of them. But that's not effective.
Okay.
So, right now, I don't think anything changed. I'm not sure what the status of the approval, what the DEC considers a cutoff, for regulations, whether approval by the planning board. But not. The question is still out there. Hopefully, it's
Just for the record, Ron LaBerge has been contracted to serve as the planning board engineer on this project.
So, obviously, the previous approval had several conditions, one was easements too, so I'm assuming that, the handle all the easements from not the onsite easements, because you guys control that, but
Right.
the onsite easements you control.
They're all set, it's just what people don't want to necessarily give them to them until they're approved. So I can get them.
I know that
Once we get back into that, I'm sure if we get back into the conditional approval point again, then I can grab them. The one that was just taking the longest was the National Grid easement. And do all their surveys and a bunch of other stuff with that, which I can get. It's just I gotta send them a check, and I'll send it to them as soon as we get back to a conditional approval point. Again, everything's difficult with them, so it was a $3,000 piece of property, but they got $20,000 in legal fees that are associated with.
And then, of course, to District 2, it's only to be one by the town. Water district and,
Right, well, that paper was prepared, it's just, we're able to concurrently with the conditional agreement.
well, do you need additional grading anymore?
Well, that's what we're trying to avoid by adding,
But you had health department's approval for a septic system, that was what we're trying to.
correct, that was the whole point behind it, so we can avoid that whole thing
So
by,
it should be a much cleaner approval. The health department signed off on it. We have to know. But we go.
right, actually, it's not like we just like.
board have any questions? We did receive a complete package of the original
Yeah, I got
site plan and everything like that, and so, I reviewed it with the building department. We didn't see anything change as far as based on any drawings or anything like that, that is inconsistent with, the original. Now, we have to, are we going to have another public hearing on this?
Procedurally, it will be required.
Okay. So we'll have to have another public hearing. Where are we as far as a complete information and everything to present to the public, to schedule a public hearing? Where would be,
I think it would make sense to have the revised plan, which we don't have yet, right? That you said something about working on
Yeah, they just have to,
updating the septic, right?
it's just a detail change, we have to.
No, I understand.
Change the say fill system, because we've got plenty of room.
That's not the plan hasn't changed. I mean, I guess you could theoretically have the public hearing now.
I would feel more comfortable, I think, if we had all the septic.
She just has to change, yeah, she just needs to change the note that says the type of septic on it.
Okay, I mean, our next meeting is actually 4 weeks because we're not having
Yeah,
one on the
the
14th,
18th, right?
on the 18th. And at that point, we could. Now, there's a August date that's been determined as the drop dead date as far as the old application.
Still being reviewed.
Okay. So that is not, so August is not a firm date that we have to try and get to. You know, I don't know if I'm making myself.
No, it's in connection with the duration of the PDD approval, and that will need to be reviewed.
Okay. Because what I'm saying is if we get the plans and everything on our July 18th meeting, we review them and we feel through the engineering response that everything is complete for a public hearing to present to the public. And the next, the 18th, so it'll probably be the second meeting in August for the public hearing.
Right.
I'm just worried that
It's there, if we can-
something's gonna run out here.
if we can set it for July, I mean, have it open document.
Andy, you wanna render some type of,
No, not at this point. That issue regarding the duration of the PDD, we'll have to review the zoning law and the particular language about the duration of that PDD. So I'm not prepared to.
if it does expire before we approve this, do they have to then go through the PDE process?
Again, it's going to have to be subject to review, and I'll review that with the town attorney.
Anybody have any questions on this as far as the timeline? Does everybody agree that we would want to see a completed new set of plans before to include the septic systems?
Well, it includes the septic system, I'm just changing the type. I could just leave it and go for the conditional again. Speed the process of it.
Do you have any-
Changes just is a note on.
It's just a note change, and it's just gonna say on those 11 lots that they're gonna be fill systems instead of a conventional system. It's not, there's no design change, there's no anything, it's just a note.
Oh. The note, the detail.
Yeah, it's just there, the negative detail, it's nothing on the actual plan, the layout.
Do you think it'd be appropriate to schedule a public hearing now with the information you have?
No, I don't think that the type septic system is relevant to the group. I think the showing area or it can be, I don't think that's a problem.
All right.
Is it
How does everybody feel about scheduling a public hearing for our next July meeting? I mean, if it's simply, for the most part, just, reapproving a already accepted plan, there shouldn't be any real changes in any of the materials.
We could always leave the public hearing open if we don't have a determination about PDD. So I don't,
We'll have that issue addressed prior to your July 18th.
Okay. And we could always leave it open. So we will schedule then the public hearing for the July 18th meeting.
Okay.
And we can properly notice it because it's 12 weeks. It'll be scheduled for 7 o'clock, will be first on the agenda.
Awesome, appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I think, Russ, it'd be appropriate though, if Anthony, if as soon as CT Mail gets the plat noted with the new note in the detail, get that submitted. That'd be helpful.
Straight to
And
the honor.
to both of them. Yeah. Yeah,
I'll have one sent out.
excellent.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, third on our agenda tonight is the Golden Grain Pizza.
Okay.
Take care. Thank you.
Good evening, Nick Constant, from Advanced Engineering Survey, and we're here tonight on behalf of Zephyr Hot, the applicant for this conversion of the former Black Sheep Miners site to Golden Grain Pizza. Unfortunately, Mr. Hot couldn't be here tonight, he's out of the country traveling, and since the last time we were on the board, we worked with Mr. Bonesteel to take care of the comments, and we've satisfied those comments that we received from Mr. Bonesteel. So I think that just to, I know Mr. Peterson was here the last time, just so a quick summary, what we did is there was a proposed sidewalk that was originally shown to be on this side of Oneida Avenue. And we relocated that to the other side of Oneida Avenue. Basically, it facilitates the crossing that already exists here instead of having a mid-block crossing. So this made a lot more sense, and I think we're all set with that. We through the review of Mr. Bonesteel, we are extending the existing curb. It terminates here, and we're extending it all the way along this portion of the road. We're building the sidewalk with a handicap ramp. It comes and meets the existing asphalt driveway that the mobile station uses. There'll be a crosswalk here that gets into this crosswalk, this existing crosswalk, which has that existing crosswalk has all the handicap ramps and the pane to delineate it as a crosswalk.
I have two questions.
Sure.
If I seem to recall, wasn't there a concern about the end of the sidewalk where it goes to the asphalt? Was there any type of a decline or a step or anything like that?
No.
It's a smooth.
It's a smooth transition. When Mr. Bonesteel's comments, we addressed the transition from the sidewalk termination to the existing edge of the asphalt.
And now the other question I have is, you're gonna strike that all the way up towards across that driveway that goes into the mobile station, which seems to be a very popular entrance in that, well, entrance to it. Is there any issues with that? Is there gonna be any type of additional signage or anything there? I mean, I don't even know if you can do anything with that, because it's not on your property, but,
Well,
Technically, it's in the highway boundary.
boundary, right. If there's something the board thinks that would help with
I
that,
don't know where you would face that, where would the sign face be? You know,
yeah, I mean, you're just gonna have to.
the issue is traffic coming from Hoosick, turning right, not into Oneida, but across the end of Oneida into the.
Yeah, there's actually a curb cut just beyond Oneida.
There's a drop curve, right?
It goes in, it technically is the entrance to the mobile station.
It is that entrance, yeah.
and that's why there's a crosswalk.
Yeah,
And the law says you have to yield to pedestrians, so. There's no way you can sign it to face Music Street, because that's where the traffic is coming from.
That entrance is too large, you know, the entrance is
It
not
should be
defined.
shortened
It's not
up, but I
defined.
don't- I don't-
That's the issue. The
Yeah,
entrance is not defined. That's really the issue. So they don't make a right, they actually just basically line into that.
yeah, it's just kind of like,
Right.
Because there is also an entrance on Hoosick Street.
Right.
You know, so if that was closed off, they could come in on Hoosick Street, but they, when they redid Hoosick Street, they did not close the 9.5 and 9.6. That's what should have been done.
well,
You know,
I have a little concern about that. I don't think there's really anything you can do about it.
I'm not sure putting curb there is a good idea.
I mean, the surface will be painted
Yeah.
as a crosswalk.
Yeah. And he has details of that crosswalk, that and.
None of you maintained by the owner, right?
It'll be in the town right away.
It's in the town.
The town has to maintain that.
They'll,
Gotcha.
Now,
We'll
is
have to
there-
maintain the sidewalk.
right. You can be the sidewalk. Who, is that?
Okay.
Yeah. That was for his customers. We had that discussion previously.
And is there any other comments that were addressed?
No, I checked the drainage, and, you know, putting the curb in, how that would impact drainage. It all drains to that new catch basin on the other side of the driveway. We messed around with the end of that sidewalk. I got rid of the angle point. It's not good for safety sense to put an angle on concrete. It also helps with that right turn. People aren't going to try to drive across the end of it. Again, the motor station, so those are the significant items that I commented on, and you can guess them.
Okay,
There's no fence proposed at the top of that slope to deter anybody, you know, avoiding using the sidewalk and walking around. I mean, some people are gonna just skirt across and walk up the slope. You're not proposing to make any fence at the top of that slope, right?
No. Just be creative.
anybody have any questions?
Couldn't carry that sidewalk on the side of the Rocky Cleaners further around that bend.
The way we had it,
Well, yeah, not that far, but some, just, 10 or 12 feet maybe. You're gonna get people cutting all across there, so you get them on a sidewalk quicker.
from here,
Yeah, that yellow, if you carried that around further,
come around like this,
I don't know if it would help or hurt.
that, that's on a slope, and, I think Chairman, the last time we were here,
You were gonna do it before, but
yeah, but one of the reasons we switched over to that side is that this side also, people take if they're not going to the gas station, they come across fast for the gas station, but they also go pretty fast around that corner to go on I and the pedestrian there is always, cars to go off.
Now, there's gonna be crossing markings across Oneida right after that, correct?
Yeah, they're already, yes.
They're already out.
Yeah, this is existing. That was done when the DOT project was done,
Okay.
and it's in good shape.
Yeah, it's up to DOT to maintain.
Is that,
It's DOT's responsibility to maintain that crosswalk.
okay.
Yeah, it's not being done by the way.
Well, if there's, no more questions on it, we already determined that a public hearing is not going to be necessary. So we could move forward with a secret determination. Would anybody like to make a
I'll make a negative declaration for the secret.
second on that?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now on the amendment to the site plan. Conditions,
Wayne, do you see any, I mean, all the specs, details are there in the plan. One thing for the board, what Nick said earlier was discussed about your client maintaining the sidewalks.
Yes.
One thing that comes to mind, and I can't recall if we did it the first time around, would be simply having on file a sidewalk maintenance agreement. And I'll give you this analogy, the Stewart's right up here. Recall the sidewalk leading up into the facility is on Sweet Mill Creek. Town did not want the maintenance responsibility, so there is a written, executed sidewalk maintenance agreement for that. We could use that as a template. Sure, I will. So maybe execution of a sidewalk maintenance agreement for the sidewalk along an island.
okay. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve the site plan with that condition?
I'll make the motion
I'll
for the
second.
condition.
Okay, second, is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all set, right?
Thank you.
Okay. Has he been working on
The architectural drawings should be submitted to the building department in the next 2 weeks.
well? So we should have pizza by the fall, is that what you mean?
I think he would like to have it faster, but it's going to take a few months.
Okay. The fourth on our agenda tonight is the Paramount Building Group major subdivision, but I understand late notice that I got, and Mike might confirm this, but they would not be attending tonight.
Wendy, I know, was speaking to you. I didn't.
Yeah, she sent me a text.
I talked to the engineer, and they're still working on the property survey. Still, they don't have topo done. I told him, unless he has some significant progress on this, he shouldn't have to come before the board,
Okay. So I would assume that,
unless he's got questions of the board.
I would assume then that he's gonna notify the board when he's ready, or the building department.
He'll call Wendy or Mike.
So we'll adjourn without date at this point. All right. We already talked about Florio, and I believe he would be scheduled to come before us on our next meeting. Okay. Is there any new business? No? Now, under old business, we had a discussion meeting, Andy and I, and we'd like to just discuss the Marie's News letter that they got was directed towards the Chick-fil-A process from DOT. I'd like to kind of review that a little bit and try to determine what our next,
Well, one of the things we discussed was to, in light of the DOT letter and that the applicant did make a further submittal earlier in June, that the matter be placed on your July 18 agenda for further discussion, which would include consideration of the seeker status of action as well.
I know we just got this letter at our last meeting. Does everybody have an opportunity to kind of read that? I'm referring to the May 21st, 2024 letter that we received from DOT. It did make mention in section 2 on the first page, second paragraph, of the 2013 comprehensive plan. And specifically, Goal 1 recommends resolving the vehicular traffic issues on Route 7. And transportation goal number 2, work on the traffic conditions and related pedestrian circulation and safety issues on Route 7. And this is kind of interesting comment. That's what I'm going to say.
Right, and that can be further discussed at, I would suggest, at the July 18th meeting with the applicant.
Okay.
One thing to confirm that you were going to confirm is that the applicant has in fact received the DOT letter. Do we know that?
I went through with Wendy on the actual letter went to the engineering firm, you believe. Creighton, who's the engineer?
Bowler.
Bowler?
Or the letter you're referring to was,
Somebody told me, I think it was Wendy said that she had talked to them and they had gotten a copy of that, but I'm not
okay.
I'm not
The letter
sure.
we're referring
I
to
would
was
like to,
Right, the letter was actually addressed to the town,
yes,
and it was belatedly relating to the recirculation of the lead agency coordination notice from earlier this year.
yeah,
And the CCs listed a number of parties within DOT,
correct.
but it didn't indicate whether it went to the applicant's engineers. So I think we should just confirm the applicant's engineer, the applicant has that.
I think we should too.
I'll call
There
Tim
were
Freitag
a
tomorrow.
number of inconsistencies in that letter. Should we send a letter back to DOT asking for clarification on some of those?
Well, again, I think
Statements?
getting input from the applicant and discussing that at your July 18th meeting, that's one option, correct? Is seeking further input from the state.
Okay. Mike, you were going to say something?
I can forward that to Tim Freitag tomorrow if you want.
Yes, please do that. And tell them that we request their presence at our next meeting
7:18. Okay.
to discuss this letter and secret. We still haven't, I did talk to, Colton Hill, and he was asking what was going on, and we told him about exactly our conversation we just had. So he does know that I believe that he's going to but I would verify that with the engineer. Does anybody have any comments on that letter now?
I think that should hold until
Okay.
the applicant's present.
Okay. All right, is there any other old business anybody wishes to go over?
I do have one if I could. The board will recall that Walmart had sought an amendment to that PDD to allow the two things, the seasonal storage or seasonal sales of bulk materials out in the parking lot, and then seasonal storage, I'll call it to the rear, to the McChesney side. You recall the town board in their determination on the sketch plan determined that storage toward the rear of the property in the containers adjacent to McChesney did not warrant further review and would not consider that, but would consider the seasonal sales basically during the spring to early summer time frame of bulk items in the parking lot. And toward that end, at their last meeting, deemed that formal, now full PDD amendment application to be complete. They're going through lead agency coordination. You will be receiving that lead agency coordination notice to this board. Referred the matter to the county for review and recommendation, and the zoning law does formally require a review and recommendation by this board. So if I could hand up to you, will constitute, it's a copy, actually, there's only 5 tonight. Russ, original for you, and then 4 copies for the other members. It's the formal referral, it's the site plan, the project narrative, and the environmental assessment form. You could review that, consider it, and probably be in position to consider your recommendation on the July 18th meeting as well.
Okay.
Mike, can I give you these other 2 for the other 2 board members?
Sure.
Thank you.
I did notice that going, just as a side comment, to be off the record, I did notice going by Walmart's recently, but they do not have hardly any, like, plants or anything seasonal stuff out in front anymore. It's all contained inside that area.
Yeah.
So I also noticed going into Walmart that more stuff is locked up. You have to get somebody to-
Yes.
So I don't know whether that's in conjunction with that. That's off the record, by the way. You can strike that. But, anyway, okay, so you said that should be on our agenda for our next meeting.
Right, for a formal recommendation.
Okay.
I will note that the town board will hold a public hearing on that project at their July 18th, or strike that to July 11th meeting, and that will be noticed.
So our responsibility is strictly our recommendation.
That's correct.
Okay.
If approved by the town board, they will come in front of this board formally to amend the site plan to add that as a site plan feature, but we're not there yet.
All right.
Given the time of year that we propose to do this, it would not be done until next year. So
Okay. Okay, then to review is there any other old business?
Just on the Brunswick Metals, Brunswick acreage, did they ever submit the construction schedule? I know that letter had referenced the construction schedule. Did that ever get submitted?
not to my knowledge.
Is that a requirement of the letter?
Well, so right now, any approval by this board has expired. So there's no, it's whether back in front of you. And this board can certainly review its prior conditions attached to the conditional final approval. But in terms of a proposed construction schedule, that I'm not aware of, if anything's been submitted.
That letter referenced that, really.
I believe it did, and I think that is tied more toward the expiration of PDD.
Gotcha.
So that'll have to be reviewed.
This is the second time we've allowed public hearings to go ahead when all the material wasn't in the last couple of months. The first time, I feel we got burned pretty bad because they showed up like the day before with their stuff. Hopefully these guys won't do that, because if the next person comes in and they're not 100% prepared for the public hearing, I don't see, we ought to, I think we, did them a favor by having that public hearing.
Right, I would think Ron suggested that because the subdivision plat itself shows the road, the lot layout. It does show the proposed septic location. And it really is a spec on the type of system. So in terms of the subdivision proposal, the plat, number of lots, layout, road location, stormwater facilities, grading, that information is there. And I think that's why he said that the spec for the type of system, while it should be noted, is not really necessary to at least schedule a public hearing.
Yeah, it's not a requirement of the subdivision to have a completed design of the septic system.
Right, and the current plan, the plan itself, I don't anticipate changing. It'll show the lot layout and the septic location. It's just going to be the spec, the detail on the
But it's a
type of
requirement to
system.
have the approval, right? By the county?
No, because the county won't approve it until it's an approved subdivision.
It will
They
be
won't
a
stand
condition,
Oh, condition.
Yeah, it's,
condition to approval.
Yep.
It's always a chicken and egg. The county health department won't move forward and approve until they see the town approves. The town can't approve until they know the septic. So it ends up being a condition
But
to
they only
the.
gave them half of what they want because of the cut.
No, actually, what occurred previously was a full conditional final approval. One of the conditions was obviously completing the grading and getting health department approval within the period under the law to satisfy conditions. They didn't get that completed within that legal timeframe, and their approval expired. Yep.
I'd like to just review the potential agenda for our July 18th meeting. We did agree to do the public hearing for the Brunswick Acres. That'll be at 7 o'clock, followed by the agenda, which would include number 1, Brunswick Acres, and Florio, and Walmart. Is there anything I'm missing?
News,
I know probably,
Chick-fil-A coming?
Yeah, and Murray's News.
oh yeah. Okay, I forget that.
Just a little guy.
Now, I understand just as a, that possibly we're going to be getting some information on some solar projects.
Yeah.
I would assume that that would probably come in maybe by our next meeting, since it's a month away.
Yeah, yeah.
So we should anticipate that.
Moratorium over it?
Correct.
In particular, I think there's 2. One is the Chesney Avenue region property. The other one, I believe, is
Calhoun.
Calhoun.
Yeah. Yep. We have some stuff on that already.
Yeah, so, now that that moratorium has ended, you're probably gonna see those back on the agenda. All right, and unless anybody has anything else,
What about Colton Bridge?
Colton is basic, we're talking
this is
about
pending.
That's
and then
paramount.
Getting more information.
adjourned without paying.
Told them I don't like to start reviewing until after the hearing.
So, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.